Is that better? I can't tell if that's better or not. Maybe. All right. Well, let's take a look see here. If you have any stuff you want to look at, we can look at it. Particularly, I just want to talk about overall market. We can look at some tickers, but it's really tough to swing anything right now. We can look at maybe buying the possible bounce. Man, Q's is on its way down. I think we can last into futures open. We can kind of see what's happening there. I'm guessing we're going to dip out some more, considering the news we've had so far. It's blurry. What the heck is a PogChamp? All right, say PogChamp. That was like 5-10 seconds. All right. I used to have some Pogs. Yeah, for sure. It's hard to call anything on anything else. Okay, let's get started. Let's go over new stuff real quick. So, I went through and looked at all the news that happened this week. We hit quite a low, and this was pretty expected for the most part. See IWM losing some major support here. Q's all the way down to 560, and honestly 540 is bare minimums. On SPY itself, we can see down to 630, possibly 615. I'm not quite sure how far that is down. Let's see, 615 would be about another 2.8% down. And in terms of Q, let's say about the same. That would bring us down to about 545. So I would expect somewhat of a mechanical bounce there. That's where I would expect the bounce to be. 545 and about 615 or so on SPY. That's what I'm going to look at here. It's going to look pretty bad if we get there. But that would be the spot where probably preparing for more downside afterwards, because there does not seem to be an end in sight for the war stuff. See, in terms of the weekly, we lost the 50. If you look at the monthly, you can head down to like 6180 or so possibly. Let's take a look at 330 here. This is where SMAs start getting interesting. So actually, we're very close to the SMA 330. 6320. You can see the last time we lost this, that was during the April drop on tariffs. And we lost it pretty handily. But this is pretty interesting here. Let me turn off the EMAs here. You can see we had a little bounce, little mechanical bounce that happened here back in March, before heading into end of March, and then we dipped all the way out till beginning of April. And then we got that nice little mechanical rally again. straight into May, and then we got a nice trend forming. This is where we started swinging again. So around like early May, mid-May, I started taking swings again. We started developing this positive trend, and then we can play swings that way. So we can look to see if the same thing happens here. So we're kind of getting too close to the 330 SMA here again. A lot closer than we were last time. You can see we could probably lose it for a candle or so for a day or two, and then we can bounce. So maybe some downside Monday, Tuesday, and then possibly a bounce into the rest of the week is what I'd be looking at. Let's see. Interested in price action deep dive. We can talk about some of the trades from the week as well. If there's anything, is there one specific you want to talk about? You can bring it up and I'll see if I can look into it. All right. Also, if we look at the news, so we had, actually one more thing. Let's look at NVIDIA real quick. I think it was like right at the edge where it needed to hold before it maybe dies off a little bit. Let's see where NVIDIA's at. So this is quite a spot here for some time. This little 169 to 170 area has been a consistent holder here. I think it's pretty clear that it has held very well here. And now we're slightly getting into it. So maybe a bounce to the bottom here at 165, which would kind of match up with what's happening on Q and SPY as well. Even IWM can hold and sustain in this little support resistance area here. That would all line up here. All right, in terms of the news, we saw lots of tweets by Trump. He kept trying to pump the market back up. Basically, he got ignored a lot. So, like on one of the day trading days I looked at, this was like the cabinet meeting that happened before that drop came about us here. I believe that was on Thursday. Yeah, this fat drop that we caught here, this 500% that we just ripped all the way down here, this was after the cabinet meeting. So it started around, I believe it was late. I believe we started like right here, around 9:45 or so. I think it was like, actually I think it was early. I believe it was supposed to happen at 10 o'clock Central, and they started like 15 minutes early, which kind of threw everything off. And then you can see it immediately just sunk for a bit. This is where he's just talking about generalities, how good he's doing, how everything is going in their favor, and nobody was buying that whatsoever. So we got that nice dip. We caught a little bit of bounce here on the bottom of the orb, and then we just sold off. All right, that was my signal to definitely take a nice position on the short side, because I fully expected this. We were calling 645 here when we were pretty much around this region here. So it was already known that we're going to drop this much. I thought it was a bit too much. Actually, we were probably around 650s by the time I saw this. Possibility for 645. And it was quite the drop. It was like a whole another percentage down. Another $5-6 from the orb. So lots of news. No positive reactions, which is what he's shooting for. So basically anything he's saying, everyone's just kind of ignoring, because none of it can be verified. We have no concrete proof anything's ending. And now we have this weekend, right, where more troops are headed over to the Middle East. Like almost, what is it, like 6,000 to 10,000? Let's see. And then he was also saying over the weekend and whatnot how he doesn't need any approval from Congress because this is not an act of war. It's just a military operation. And then you had the Houthis hop in here, and they're thinking about closing another strait on the other side. And that strait has about 9 million barrels of oil or so, and all of that heads to Europe. So if they decide to close that side, it's going to be even worse. Also, a lot of global trade comes through that area as well, like fertilizer and all this other stuff that's necessary for the whole world. So about 10% based on global trades there. Then you had more attacks where they're going after water now, water sources, which are a big deal. Um, you have more news from the Pentagon saying they're kind of predicting how long this ground operation is going to take, and they're saying it's going to be like weeks to possibly months. And the whole deal is they're raiding the coast, trying to destroy weapons that can target any of the ships near the strait. That's what the ground boots on the ground are for. So lots of bad news coming in. Just more escalation. Nothing really causing any type of a fix here so far. War is bloody red. Yep. We'll see how big this dip is. If you can't hang around, watch it tomorrow. This will be recorded. Anything you guys want to go over in particular in terms of the day trading? The day trading has been really keeping us afloat here. If you kept up with the day trading, we've been able to catch pretty much a decent move every single day. I think this last week, maybe there's like one day that I didn't catch something. Friday was kind of hit or miss. Caught a bunch of okay moves, but I missed the big move down here. And it was pretty clear that this was going to drop out. I just was not paying enough attention here. It was pretty much 11 to 12, which was, I would think prime lunchtime in New York. So wasn't paying enough attention, or I would have saw this. And I was playing puts multiple times here already. I just missed the big drop here. This part kind of threw me off on this thing where it was looking like it was trying to do like a big rebound and it just never did it. And after that, we lost this horizontal channel here. You can see that we're channeling here. And then we finally lost it and it was gone from there. So multiple entries I could have taken here. I could have entered here if I didn't enter like the best spot here. Even like top of the channel here is very possible as well. There's lots of good areas to enter. I just never did it. Which factors would signal a bottom? So we can look at the RSI how we normally look at it. Look for an oversold bounce here. So we're quite there already. We're already at the very bottom. We're below 30 on the RSI. So we are oversold on the daily on every single index except for IWM. IWM is holding up, and it looks like it's reaching for the 4-hour here. So maybe once this hits on the 4-hour, we can look for some type of bounce. It's still pretty far from the daily oversold, about 7 points away. And maybe we look at the weekly here. Weekly, we're about 9 points away. And if you look at regular candles, it's even worse. It's about 6.3 on Qs and about 6.91 on SPY. Regular candle is going to be 35.31. So we're headed down on the weekly oversold as well. We're getting close to bouncing, one or the other. So I'd say probably IWM hitting on the 4-hour to the downside here, completing this little gap here from 32 to 30. That would be fine, and then we can see a little mechanical bounce. So another down day or two, Monday, Tuesday, and we can see if we can get some type of bounce here. Not really a spot that I would be trying to load up on stocks are. Maybe a couple of the strong stuff that has been holding up. Photonics mostly. Maybe you can play a bounce off this. So we look at light here. Got close to the 21 here on the daily. And it could give us a little bounce back up here from 700 to 760 or so. And then we're going to head back down probably. So you could probably play like a little small temporary bounce. Take a look at like cores. Cores is down to the 50. weekly's at. 233 on the weekly on the 9. 236 on the 50. You can look at AAOI as well. It's holding up okay here on 95. Man, it's so far off the 9 here. AOI is super strong. So you just want to look for stuff that's already in relative strength, that's holding up while we're dipping here. And then when we get some type of bounce, these will bounce the hardest. So I think AOI looks the best here. And you can even look at this very expensive memory stuff. So again, maybe a 9 bounce on the weekly here. So it looks like it could bounce here pretty good here. 583 or so on SNDK. WDC looks pretty good as well. Getting close down to the 50 on the daily. Looks like it lines up with the 9 here on the weekly. I think STX might be one of the ones that are lagging here that we can look at. WDC and STX are probably the two. These are very expensive though. I was thinking about day trading one of them one day, but I just could not commit that much to it. Those are the ones I'd look for some type of bounce. There's a lot of chatter about rocket type stuff with possibly SpaceX IPO. That failed out really quick. Rocket Lab drop ASTS here. Planet Labs actually looks really good. So Planet Labs looks like the strongest out of all the space stuff. Sitting around 30.85. Sorry. On the weekly, not even close. So Planet Lab looks really good. AOI looks really good. Those are all stuff you can probably target. They're all really expensive though. Sure, there's some cheaper stuff we can look at. Any questions? Do you have any thoughts on AI market affecting overall market if things do come out that strangle some of the resources needed? New Google release made me wonder. AI market here. Let's look at semis here, I think. You can look at like SMH or something. I mean, NVIDIA itself. I mean, obviously it's all dropping out right here. But this has been like one of the stronger parts of the market as well. If you look at all the expensive semi pieces, they've been holding up relatively well. They're starting to drop out now. I mean, the market has been dropping out this whole time and it's been going up. So definitely some relative strength there. And it should bounce pretty good. So semiconductors in particular will bounce pretty good. And that will take data centers with it, I'm sure. Here's NBIS. NBIS looked really good here on this big break over 100. It got up to like 133 and now it's back at 100. So it looks like it's a spot where it could bounce again as well. We can look at maybe CoreWeave. There's been a lot of flow on CoreWeave lately, but I think they all took a fat hit on that one. This is why I was very scared to even try. I think EWY is probably a good one that you could swing. Like you can see here, it's right at support here. Lost the 50 on the daily. But this is like a nice little liquidity zone that should hold up. It's very extended off the monthly. I think the weekly just came back down. So looks like a decent spot where it could bounce here. Maybe a little bit lower beneath it and just pop back up. This would be a good one I'd be looking at too. Copper. You know, copper was actually holding up super well. That was pretty interesting. Memory. We can look at MU. We looked at SNDK already. Memory stuff. MU actually looks the worst, but MU also had that crazy run. This is when we first looked at it last year. It was trading about 114. And now it's at 450. You can see all the squigglies I drew down here for multiple people, showing that MU had a good chance here. I did not play it myself. But now MU is getting back down to 345. Pretty key there. Kind of the breakout point. So about 340 on the 21 EMA on the weekly. And it's still very extended on the monthly. So nice healthy retest for it before it goes higher. You can see it's kind of channeling here before it breaks back out possibly on MU. We're talking about gold and copper. Let's take a look at copper. Copper was holding up really well, actually. Oil prices over 100 and copper wasn't really falling too much. So now it's starting to look a little bit weaker. Copper, 5.18 possibly on this last breakout. That's where I would look to take like a very large add into it possibly. Would be about here. And then hopefully it'll just range here maybe before it goes higher. I definitely think copper should go higher. It is extremely necessary. We got so many grids that we need to upgrade. The only thing is oil prices are keeping it down. Let's see what's oil at right now. Oil peaked at... We closed on the daily at 98.70. And man, the weekly looks even more bullish here. We closed above 97 here. Looks like almost 3 times. Yeah, I want to short oil, but this does not look good so far. It's like we got more oil upside of anything. I see people loading up on more oil on Exxon and Chevron, everything. I just do not want to chase it because when it drops, it's going to drop hard. And for as gold, though, we got a nice little bounce here on gold on Friday. Not really expected, considering the cost of oil going up, inflation's going higher, chance of rate cuts getting lower. Let's see, they almost like priced out down to like 1 cut this year. See if that changes when this is all over. Yeah, we're chopping. Copper, you should just keep adding as it goes down if you want to add. Microsoft. Man, it's so hard to call a bottom on Microsoft. I tried it after earnings one time and I got smacked pretty good. So let's take a look at this in terms of a longer time frame here. So here, right, this was the last time it had earnings and dipped out really hard. We are at the same level. Looks like we can drop down to maybe 345 once again. Let me take this off. Let's see. If we drop from here. We lost the uptrend for sure here. Pattern wise, maybe forming a bit of a head and shoulders on the monthly. Really hard to say. Honestly, this is not one I'm trying to catch the bounce on. If you're going to look at any Mag 7, look at Amazon. This is the one that you'd want to play. So Amazon's still sitting at 200. That's great. And then I'd say it could possibly go down to like 195. But you can see how well Amazon is holding up here. And we got earnings again in April. Amazon's holding up really well compared to everything else. I think Apple's doing pretty good. Apple did lose 250. But again, there's still a bit of support here at about 247, 245 or so. That one looks okay. Man, Google looks terrible now too. Let's see the monthly here. Got another day Also, with OPEX that happened, or sorry, the rebalancing that happened on Friday, we've got 2 more days left, the 30th and 31st. This will cause some options to roll over, and it changes where all the resistance and supports is for a little bit. So that's why Monday and Tuesday are going to be pretty interesting here. Maybe not Monday. I think Tuesday. Tuesday is the last day of March. So we're going to see where all these monthly candles close out at. So if we, sell out a little bit more, sure. But if we get a bounce here, a lot of stuff are bouncing at key levels here. Like Meta's got 488 below here on the monthly. Lost a lot here on the daily. Last chance on SMA. Not even. So let's look at the weekly here. So yeah, Meta's got a little bit lower, about 500. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good bounce spot for Meta. You can see here, bounce here last time as well. Again, off poor news on data center stuff. And then you had earnings getting into it as well, and then it'll dip out again, about 500 or so. That's where I would look at. Microsoft, I would not play though. Yeah, gold could bounce. It's just weird seeing gold bounce when oil is so high. Yeah, and AMPX hit $20. This is a very good one. Yeah, looks great. Hit $20. Just retesting back to 1550, and we should see it maybe chop before it headed higher. Yeah, this is a very nice one. I got in around $11, $12-ish. I'm going to hold this one for the long term. Truth God. Nobody's seen me. I don't really do camera stuff. I'm just trying this out. All right, anything else? What was the day trade that you wanted to look at? Do you have one in particular that you want to look at? Who asked that? Jan Bro. We've done a lot of day trades. I don't know which one you want to look at. The main one that stood out to me is that Thursday trade. The Thursday video is going to be pretty good. Lots of call outs that were very accurate for Thursday. The only thing I did was I sold a little too early on my puts. I sold about here. And then there was another big drop that took it down even more. I missed that part. This little candle in the day was pretty funny. Where Trump was trying to pump the market back up afterwards. We bought calls here 3 minutes before market closed. I hit about 30%. I bought 3 contracts. I sold 2, and then I forgot about it. I was meeting with somebody, and then next thing you know, this thing came out. And I missed seeing what this was, on how big it was. But it automatically sold itself here. And that was still 300%. So I'm guessing this was about 500-600%. Too bad I wasn't paying attention, because that means we caught 500% down and probably another 500% up immediately here. That was an interesting day. Tomorrow's premiums juice in the morning? Yeah, lots of juicing. Talking about general price action. Let's see. In terms of price action stuff, Wait right here. I'll give you your guide for price action stuff. All right, you want your guide for price action. It's right here. This one right here. Price action ranges is the one I'm going to review again soon. Probably my favorite book out of all three. Hopefully y'all have a copy. By the way, if you want like an ebook instead, the library has these. So this one is one. There's some stuff I want to review in this. Read it out loud. We got 5 minutes until futures opens. Early morning trading are worth it. The answer is you can't tell. This is why I play small size. Sometimes some of the momentum that carries on in pre-market is worth knowing and playing. You can look at the 5 minute on that. So for example, let me see if I can find a good example here. Maybe here. So like here's Thursday's open here. This one, sometimes I'm looking at where the 5 minute signal starts here in pre-market. We had pretty nice dip. Let's look at this on higher time frames on the hourly here on the RSI. That also helps. So here you can see we hit hourly on the RSI here on SPY. And then in the pre-market, look at this on the 5 minute. It's Friday. You can see we kept going. And then it tried to bounce a little bit here. And here's like kind of where I'm starting to look where 5 minute signals might be. Here you can see like it was like a fake out into another fake out into another fake out. Into another fake out it opened before it finally starts to catch. You can look at the 5 minute before market opens at the very closest to see where bounces might have happened. So here it clearly tells me that it's going to be a little bit choppy here at the beginning. And if you look at something like Thursday, you can see we had a possible bounce here that was a fake out, and then it faked out again. And then it starts to rally here. So here's the signal here. And then here it's telling you there's more upside coming. All right, the signal holds up here. And you can even look at the 15. The 15 minute is really telling. I like watching the 15 minute a lot. Even when we're doing 5 minute signals. 15 minute is kind of the tell-all here. That tells us that there's going to be a longer extended move, right? If we're playing 5 minute MACD signals, it's telling us that we have an extended move happening here. Chapter 7. My wife did say that she kind of got sick of reading the Al Brooks books. She said a lot of it just doesn't make sense for her sometimes. So hopefully I'm going to find a better way for her to study it. Chapter 7 is a good part though. If you're reading that first book, it's going to get into how to draw channels which you see me do a lot. No CS2 here for you. Trevor wants to throw you a whooping. All right, so feature's about to open, and then we'll probably shut it down here. Any other questions? So I really can't answer your question on how I'm looking at price action, uh, just because there's too much to go through. You really got to go through the books. You can see, like, even I have to go back and review because there was something I was looking at in terms of ranges, and then I forgot exactly what it was. So I need to go back and look through the books again and make sure I got it right. Just in terms of more price action theory that I want to try out. Gaps, measuring gaps. So you need to start from the very first price action book. I'm going back through ranges because I trade mostly in terms of ranges. And this is the one that is my absolute favorite. And you know what? It's a lot longer than I remember. This book's like 500 something pages. I thought it was like 300. I haven't looked at my books in a while. All right, let's take a look at futures real quick. Got gold. Oh, look at that big dip on gold. I would expect gold to dip out. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't. You see oil's headed higher. Just pumping back to 100. Let's look at SPX here. It's dropping lower here on open. 60, 30, 34. Who's trading futures here? You just play the bleed. Oil trying to make a higher move here. You'll probably get stuffed at 101, I'd say, if you're going to play oil. That would be the spot I'm looking at. Gold back down to 4,400. Copper dipping out too. So not quite a spot to buy, I don't think. So copper, you know, if you can take an entry here, but you want to add on here at 5.17. Bitcoin still, I don't know. I think Bitcoin's going to drop out here as well. Bitcoin, I would expect it to drop down to maybe like 63 again, or even 60. I really want 60. That's what I'm looking for here. Futures already bouncing. I mean, if you were to trade this, you could. I would play, on futures, I like to play a 10-minute orb. It's just because it moves so much faster. And I'm just scalping when I play futures. So I would run a 10-minute orb here. But I don't have any future accounts open anymore. I'm about to ban you. Trying to call me. Market crash. I don't think we're close to a market crash. Still supported at this point. So yeah, if you were to play this orb here, you can play it here. I'd say it's headed more to the downside here. Look how unconvincing these candles are. I don't think I want to wait this out and see if this plays out on futures. 44.62 on gold, and it's already bouncing. Copper's just bleeding out. I think it's just catching up from Friday because it was trying to bounce. It didn't really fail too hard on Friday. So I think it's just catching up on that move down. Silver holding up. It's holding up okay. There's oil pushing 100 here. And here's a dropout. So I would expect a bit lower here. And there it goes. 63.25. Who's going to take a futures trade for us? It's only 5 minutes in. Yeah, I'd say we end up just dropping out. Wonder how far it's going to go. That I don't know. Let's see, in terms of the 5 minute, 6,300. Yeah, you know how when you hear yourself for the first time and you just hate it? That's how I feel. Alright, well, I don't have anything else to go over. Unless you guys want to go over anything else. I would just, if you're trading futures, you can watch for this drop out and take a play here once it retest. Retest seems to be more important than ever on futures because you cannot front run stuff. All right, nothing else you guys want to go over. We'll call it here, and then we'll see y'all tomorrow for some live trading. Four trades with 40% return tomorrow. That should be pretty easy to do. It's very disappointing when we don't capture at least like a 200% each day. With how volatile the contracts are, we should at least hit 200 every day, I think. All right, see y'all Monday as this drops out more. I almost wish I had a futures account to trade this right now. I don't. Finally figured sizing is key. Yeah, sizing is number one. All right, see y'all tomorrow.